Our two governments can't agree because they're both whiny ass bitches, and so they're.
Yeah, no shit, eh? Like, oof.
No, it's back. Give it to the quarterback. No, we got the running back.
Straight off the couch.
Here are the stories we're going to be chasing today.
Well, we're going to be chasing the week between the Super Bowl. Before we get too far into this, though, let me bring in my broadcast partner, the ever affable and effervescent Adam Weidel. Hey, Adam, what's going on, brother?
Oh, man, oh, man. I don't know how many stories we're going to be chasing. There's only one big story, right? It's that big game energy, right?
Yeah, but we're going to review our beginning of the season discussion, so...
I forgot we were going to talk about that tonight. So, let's go with, what do you want to start with?
You had your three, so go ahead and talk about. Bring up.
So my three were, one was can the Chiefs three-peat?
Well, they're on the verge of that.
And I didn't think we'd be at this point, but it's a 50-50 shot right now.
Yeah,
so that was my one story. We don't know. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
Sunday.
Come Sunday, I guess.
Sunday.
And then the other one that I do remember they were all AFC. The other one I remember, now this is going back like 22 weeks. So, it was, can the Buffalo Bills get the monkey off their back?
Unfortunately for them, no.
And, they did in the regular season like they usually do. And they didn't do it in the playoffs once again, so that one didn't come true.
And then on a related note, I'm sick and tired about hearing about Steve Spagnuolo.
Me too. I'm sick of just Chiefs news, period. Like, I'm chiefed out.
Yeah. And I'm not usually that guy, but I've had enough of them. Man, what was your third one?
My third one was, can the Bengals make a deep drive into the playoffs, which we found out they could not. Now, they started the season off pretty slow, but they ended really strong. So hopefully they can keep up that energy next year, because I do think they have a good team.
And it's for the Bengals, it's the defensive side of the ball that's letting them down. Their defense can't.
The defense didn't show up for the first 8 weeks.
Yeah, and that's kind of been their MO for 4 or 5 years now. Is they just start slow and they kick it in late. And you can't do that in this league. You can't start slow and expect to make a deep run.
No, you got to pick off a couple wins here and there, even if you're just feeling out the first month of the game.
Yeah, you got to that first month. If you don't go 2-2, you're kind of screwed. So I really want to see the Bengals do well, and I like Joe Burrow, and I do like the fact that he's the only guy who beat Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. But they just, so far they're struggling, and the Buffalo Bills thing, I don't even know what to do about Buffalo. They lost by 3 points in the championship game.
Yeah, so I don't know. They need to change their logo or something. They need to have like a guy with like wing sauce all over his face that on top of a table that didn't break or something, and then maybe they'll have a chance. I don't know what they're cursed. They're unfortunately a cursed team. They look like they're going to be a great team every year, and they just can't finish, and I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is this year.
Last year and the year before last and the year before last, the last 4 years, the curse was number 15 of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, those 15-yard penalties, that's what it is. But it's one of those things, like there was a couple bad calls, in my opinion, on that game. I think Josh Allen did have the first down. I don't think that catch by Xavier Worthy was a catch. There's some questionable things.
I think the league is going to come up with some adjustments to the rules, either the competition committee or the rules committee, and they're going to look at that first down stuff, because there's no reason whatsoever why they can't put a GPS chip in and establish that line and work every time. It works in tennis. I mean, they use that technology in tennis.
They've been talking about it. They've been talking about it for like 2 years, but just nothing's happened.
I guess they tried. I was listening to Mike Pereira on a local radio show, NFL rules specialist Mike Pereira, and he said they tried in a couple of the preseason games, but the quarterbacks claimed that the extra weight of the sensor affected the spin on the ball. Fine. We have special kicking balls. Why don't we have a special fourth and short ball?
And there's ways to get around it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the technology now on GPS trackers, they can be like the weight of a pill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't quite understand that, but all right, sure. Like unless they were putting in like some like nuclear sized chip in the damn thing.
They're putting an Apple iTag in there, yeah.
Yeah, the air tag. No wonder why the trajectory's off. It's a round tag on an oval ball.
Yeah, and they just tie it to the laces. They don't put it inside or anything. It's just hanging out.
Yeah.
It's like a keychain.
Guy can't throw it. They dangle it off the laces like with one of those air tag keychain hangers.
Yeah, one of the big rubber ones, yeah. and the little ball bead chain, yeah. It's affecting the flight of the football. Really?
No, what's that dangly thing? Make some great replays.
So
he caught it by the dangler.
So, like I said, I can see them coming up with like a special fourth and short ball that they're going to declare stuff like they do with the tush push. We're going to do the tush push. Okay, bring in the special football.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see the interesting off-season stuff.
So my three were I wanted to see how the rookie QBs would perform. I think, with the exception of J.J. McCarthy because he didn't play, I think they all saw significant snaps, and I think they all performed really well. I don't think any of them just sucked out loud.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, obviously top of his class. Drake May, I saw in the Pro Bowl games on the weekend, and man, if the Patriots would get him some receivers, that boy is a good quarterback. So that's excellent there. Bo Nix did very well for his initial year in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was there that we were watching?
Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta.
He came in for Kirko,
and after Kurt went down, he looked pretty sharp. I mean, not a lot of rookie errors that you normally see. And then, of course, the last one we were going to keep an eye on was the number 1 overall draft pick, Caleb Williams. Caleb didn't perform bad, just the rest of the team did.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said about having offensive weapons and an offensive line to protect him. The kid had no time.
He didn't.
Ever.
He didn't. He was under duress the entire season. He was the first or second most sacked quarterback in the league. So, he just didn't have a chance. But in all fairness, though, he does hold on to the ball a lot longer than a lot of offensive coordinators would like their quarterbacks to hold on to the ball. They want to see him take
out of your hand in 2 seconds.
Yeah, they want you to hit that back step on the third step, and ball comes out in a lot of cases. And he's not doing that. He's hitting that back step on the 3-step drop, and he's looking for receivers because he wants to throw the home run touchdown. So that's gonna be one thing that they're gonna have to take a look at. The other thing I was curious about, and I wanted to see how it would work out, was the kickoff rule, the new kickoff rule. We had was it 1 or 2 returned for touchdowns, and that's the same amount as it was with the old rules 2 years ago. So
yeah, I didn't see much change there this year.
No.
I think it was a scary thing for everybody to adapt to a new style of rule, and then they all figured out we'll just kick it in the back of the end zone.
Right. So I pictured the league to either go back to the old way or keep the new one but make some changes, like the kicker starts 5 yards deeper in his territory or something. But yeah, it's they're just trying.
I'd like to see that if it didn't hit the landing zone, the other team gets it at the 40. Like if it goes out of bounds or in the end zone, the other team gets it at the 40, and then you'll see people dropping it in the landing zone.
Well, that's something to look at. Sure, that's a good idea.
Because who wants to give up 40 yards?
Maybe drop Roger an email address. I know you have his email address, so just shoot him an email on that.
Yeah, we talk all the time.
I know you do. You guys are tight as ticks. And then the last thing I wanted to watch this season, which actually came to fruition, was what would happen if Tom Brady became an owner. How would the league handle that? Well, he did become an owner, and the league shut down his pregame access to the opposing team, or to both teams, pretty heavily. Basically, he walks into the booth, and he's got to rely on his producers and his spotters a lot more than most analysts do in the league at this point in time.
Yeah, and they did have to come up with like 6 special rules for him. One of them being he's not allowed to comment on officiating. Even though we've seen that from other commentators that were just like, Troy Aikman.
I don't know, Jim. I don't know, Jim.
Oh, Tony Romo. Yeah, for sure. I don't know, Jim.
But yeah, no, you're right. Aikman really, he went in hard on a couple of those calls. So
yeah,
Brady can't do that as an owner because it would undermine the league's authority.
Yeah, so they had some rules for him. I don't know. He's going to be calling the Super Bowl, so this will be interesting.
It will, because he hasn't had any of the usual. The restrictions they put on him were he cannot attend any of the workouts or the practices, which a lot of times when there's the broadcasters are allowed to go to practice and watch and see and observe for themselves. He can't do that. The pregame meetings between broadcasters and head coaches, team members, whatever, he can't do any of that. That's something he can't do. So basically, he just shows up with his microphone and says, "Okay, okay, Kevin, okay, K-Bomb, let's go ahead and do this thing." And the last final whistle. I'll see you guys later. I'm going home. I
think he's allowed to do media for the Super Bowl though.
This is a completely different game. There's got it, yeah. But as a partial owner of the Raiders, they rightfully trimmed his wings a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with Tommy Terrific. As a partial owner of the Vegas Raiders, they may just remove him from Fox altogether. It doesn't look like it's happening, but we've seen some stranger things.
And I think one of the other restrictions they put on him was he cannot be in the booth if it's a Raiders game. Something
like that. But you know what? Yeah. Nobody's broadcasting Raiders games right now anyway.
No. One little bit of news that came out right before we recorded today's show, Myles Garrett wants out in Cleveland.
Yeah, I saw his letter. He thanked the city of Cleveland. He didn't want to go from Cleveland to Canton. He wants championships. And it looks like the Browns are not doing their job. There must be some friction there because last I heard, Myles was going to be involved in some of the personnel selections because they wanted to keep basically the face of their team right now because he is the best player they have.
They want to keep him happy for sure. And I read was it Kevin Fishbane, I think? Hang on, let me look at this. It was Eric Edholm. I'm sorry, Eric Edholm. And he says there are several teams that he can see Garrett landing at. Number one team he would see Garrett landing at, Detroit Lions. That wouldn't bother my friend Chris at all. Number two, the Washington Commanders, because they have that new GM in place, and he's pretty aggressive when it comes to things like that. The number 3 place he wouldn't mind. He thinks that is pretty advantageous and optionable. Arizona Cardinals. Number 4, my Chicago Bears is a pass rusher. There's plenty of salary cap, and there's plenty of room for Ryan Poles to do stuff. Another one that I'm not real happy with, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I don't see him going to the Packers. I would love to see him in New England. They got lots of cap space, but they need to build a team first.
Philadelphia Eagles, they can do stuff there, and their GM has proven that he's not afraid of a trade.
I don't know how the Eagles would be able to get any more talent on that team.
I'm sure they'd figure out a way. The Chargers was another one. So, and then
Jim might like that.
And then last but not least, I'm sorry, there's 2 more teams. The Falcons. The Falcons are one that he would like to. He said there's a really good shot of going to the Packers. And then the last team on the list, it is the New England Patriots.
I thought so, but it doesn't make any sense for him to go to New England. They've got no offense, so
What Ed Holm wrote was this might be the longest shot team on the list from one perspective. As Garrett has said, he wants to play for a contender, and the 4-13 Patriots have a long way to go to get back into being that. But
they're not there.
But Mike Vrabel is head coach and now in New England, having spent the last seasons on the Brown staff and knowing full well how much Garrett has left in the tank. Vrabel even went on a podcast last summer hinting that the idea of using Garrett in goal line package. So the Patriots badly need impact players up front and might not be able to land the top-tier pass rusher in the draft, even with the number 4 pick overall. They have more than $100 million in cap space and could offer Garrett a lucrative extension. Now the question becomes whether Garrett would want to go to New England. Yeah, because Garrett has 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah, so that's the money is going to be a thing too, and then the sweetness of the deal would be they pick up his contract and offer him an extension with a bonus right away.
Right.
I think that's, and it has to be a contender. Like I think that's going to be the package because
he would probably
he has to go somewhere that he's going to have a chance of winning a ring.
Yeah, he would probably take less money. Let's just use Philadelphia for an example because they are talent loaded and they've been there the last 2 out of the last 3 years they made it to the final dance. So he'd probably say to the Philadelphia Eagles, "I'll take a little less, just for the chance to get that ring."
Just for a ring, yeah. I mean, well, we'll see.
And the same thing could be said for Detroit. If they hadn't had all those injuries on the defensive side of the ball, they might be in the final game this year. So. You know.
Shit doesn't happen till March though. So
right. Yeah. So we're gonna have to wait until March, and that's pretty much everything we had planned to talk about. Looking back, now looking forward, where it's time for us to talk about the upcoming game. Is there a game this week?
There's a big one. It's big game energy. It's the biggest game. It's the 59th Bowl of Supers. So it is going to be something. I have a list of prop bets just because I know you missed the prop bets.
I have missed the prop bets. So this is, what are we calling this one? We calling this one Taylor Bowl 3?
This is the Swifty Bowl, I guess. I don't know what we're going to call it.
The Kendrick Taylor Bowl.
So the Swifty Bowl, it is on Fox. Fox does tend to like her. I've got 5.5 Swifty sightings.
I think that's fair. I really do think that's fair.
Yeah. So you can take the over
we're talking
under
about
on that, kids.
We're talking about just in-game, not pre-game or post-game, right?
We can't do pre-game or post-game because that could be forever because they like to hype it up and like, oh, Taylor arrived on her plane and Taylor's wearing a fancy dress and Taylor's with Travis right now.
And if the Chiefs win, she's going to be on the field.
Oh, you know it.
So there's going to be...
I think she just wants her ring.
Yeah, well, she's probably getting one in the offseason because,
Or maybe it happens right on the field. Who knows?
Well, she wants to get as many rings as J-Lo. She's got to catch up. So what? Yeah, I think 5 in game is fair, or 5.5. I'm sorry, 5.5.
5.5. Probably one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people tune into the Super Bowl is the halftime show. We have Kendrick Lamar this year as the guest, as the halftime entertainment.
Yeah,
I have him with 4.5 special guests.
Beyonce, Christina Aguilera, whoever.
Yeah, just like
because they can't. They can't do a halftime.
Janet Jackson comes out topless. Who
knows?
They
can't. They can't do a halftime show except for Prince without rolling out 7 or 8 big names. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe they throw a hologram of Prince up, and I think that counts. So who knows?
Yeah, holograms count. So for the purposes of this conversation, this discussion, holograms of stars will count. So if Sammy Davis Jr. shows up, that counts.
Yeah, I mean that counts. That's a cameo, right?
Yeah.
So I've got
cameo.
That set
maybe we get a word up thing.
Yeah, from Cameo.
A cameo
so I've got
from
that
Cameo.
set at 4.5. My next one is in-game stuff, and I'm being light here, so you have to pick. The eyes of the world are on this game, so I've got 1.5 clearly questionable reffing calls.
Ooh, I like this one. I really like this one. Because the Chiefs are just all season long. There's been some really questionable calls. I mean, and I'm trying to be objective. I'm trying to be neutral. I'm trying to think of this logically, but there's just been too many things that scratch your head for them. So you got it at 1.5, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna go 2.5, but I think the eyes of the world are on this game, and I think the reffing is going to be as clean as possible.
Yeah, man. I don't know which way I'd go on that one. I might have to think. I might have to text you later this week while I consider this one.
Well, it's out there for the boys and girls if they want to play along. The next in-game prop I have is 3.5 brotherly shoves.
Yeah, because the Eagles are the progenitor of the brotherly shove, and they use it more than any other team in the league. And 3.5, I think that's fair, because brotherly shoves, boys and girls, can be at the end zone or just for a first down. So keep that in mind.
So 3.5 brotherly shoves. So it's the quarterback sneak. The next one is going to probably piss off Chiefs fans, but we've all seen it. I got 2.5 times Mahomes calls for a flag when it didn't happen.
I think that's more than fair. 2.5, I think, is more than fair, because he's so good at the flop, and he lays on the ground and looks at the official, and you can just you've seen highlights of him laying on the ground going, "Hey, flag,"
Yeah. So I got that one set at 2.5. My final in-game prop is I've got Saquon rushing for 125.5.
Wow. I think I'd take the over on that, because he's just a beast. But then again, Kansas City's defense is really strong.
Right. You got Chris Jones is going to wrap him up any chance they get. They know Saquon's a threat.
Do you have do you have a prop bet on the number of times we're going to see Chris Jones crying?
You know what? I didn't throw that one in, but let's go with 1.5.
1.5. Okay.
1.5 on Chris Jones crying, and you're guaranteed one.
You're guaranteed one. Yeah. The national. Every time
national
they shoot,
anthem. National anthems. He's definitely crying, and
if they win,
that doesn't happen, I will be shocked.
If they win, there's your second one. So yeah, 1.5. That's a good one, man.
Yeah, so that's my Chris Jones one, and that's it that I've got for props. Those are the only ones that I could think of that seemed reasonable. Like, I can throw like crazy ones out off the top of my head, but I had to really think of the numbers this year because we kind of avoided the props all playoffs.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good lineup of prop bets for the boys and girls to play along at home. Once again, it's the annual reminder from Uncle Adam and Uncle Terry: pace yourself, kids. It's a long game. Don't start drinking too early or too hard, because you want to be there for the commercials and not in the bathroom. So,
yeah. So I think most people it's a all afternoon, all evening thing too, right? So food, fun, friends, all the 3 Fs, 4 Fs if you want to talk about yelling at the screen later. But yes, pace yourself. This is our PSA.
I'm thinking 4 Fs for the refs. Because they're going to do something, and you're going to drop the F-bomb, in a string. You're going to use fucker, fucked, fucking, and the different connotations of the word. And so I think 4 Fs for the refs.
Yeah, lots of adjectives for sure. But yeah, that's it for props for sure. I guess we have to talk about who's going to do what. Like, what do you think about this game? I see the Eagles, leaning on Saquon, because Saquon is Saquon. He's the best.
He's unstoppable this year, yeah.
And then I see the Chiefs with a really stellar defense, and there ain't no Saquon's a threat.
So they're gonna key on him, and the Chiefs in the Bills game, we saw they do watch film once in a while. They know how to stop people, because they stopped Josh Allen on that left hand tush push thing of his. It kept going to the left side of the line, and they were there waiting for him.
The Chiefs defense studies a lot of film. They're very well educated on the other team.
The other thing, I think it's going to come down to a 3-point game.
I have Philly 31. Kansas City 27.
You're going 5-point game. No, 4-point game.
4. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. I would like to see Philadelphia win, but I think it's the Chiefs are going to do it again. They seem to have discovered this magic formula that no team I've ever watched in my lifetime has been able to figure out, where you just kind of lay back and you don't put your foot on the gas until you absolutely need to, and then you put the foot all the way down and you score. And I mean, is it Patrick Mahomes? Is it Andy Reid's coaching? Is it the play calling? It's just, like I said, I've never seen this before. I've never seen somebody do this before, where they just kind of got this blasé attitude until they need to, and then they put the hammer down and score.
So the big thing for me with the Chiefs is their clock management is out of this world.
It is. It is very good. Yeah.
There is 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they're down by like 4 points. They will run down the field, and they will use everything down to the 2-minute warning, and they'll be on the 20-yard line, and they somehow find a way to take it down
to suck up more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, to take it down and still score a touchdown to win the game or something. Their clock management is out of this world. So I think it's a coin flip. It can go either way, but I've got Philly by 4.
I think it's going to be the Chiefs, but again, like a 3-point game. I don't think this is going to be anything close. You can't call it a blowout because they haven't had one all year long where they won by more than 7.
No, there's absolutely no way that the Chiefs blow out the Eagles. By the way, speaking of Eagles, I did buy.
You bought his book?
The book. I bought the book that A.J. Brown was reading on the sidelines called Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, former Chicago Cubby.
I see you have a couple of Post-it notes in there. You've already been reading your inspirational quotes for yourself there, have you?
So the notes, actually, it's got activities in it, like follow-up stuff that you can do in real life. And it's actually like really good. So
is it like charades?
So, here, I'll give you an excerpt from the first chapter of follow-up questions and activities. Practice getting out of your head, focusing on your breathing and using your senses. Can you stop analyzing and just breathe? Just feel?
Actually, that's one of the things that NASA teaches astronauts when there's a high-stress situation on, is 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds exhale, 8 seconds nothing, and do that to calm your breathing and get your head back straight. Yeah. So that kind of makes sense.
So I bookmark as I'm reading the book. I'm only about 100 pages in there. I think it's about a 300-page book.
I'm impressed you can read, Adam.
Yeah, you know what? They teach that in Canadian schools. You know, we missed the class on shooting guns, but we get to read instead.
Well, you know what? God bless you for reading. I mean, I'm so happy for you, because I was going to send you a Dick and Jane book. You know.
Oh yeah, I read that one. That was a good one.
Or a Cat in the Hat. Have you read the Cat in the Hat? Are you
I have a bunch of them.
Okay, all right.
One of my all-time favorites, actually.
Okay.
You know, Dr. Seuss was good. Oh, the places you can go. I love it.
Yeah, well, cool. And I do you have anything else for today, Adam? Because my notepad is now clean.
Is your notepad clean?
Yeah.
I'm just having a look at the housekeeping here. So we both picked. You picked Chiefs. I picked Eagles. We believe it's going to be like a 3-4 point game, both of us anyway. Just looking at some hirings, looks like the league is, getting a lot of coordinators and stuff. The Jags hired a Hall of Famer, Tony Boselli, as executive VP. Miles says he's out of Cleveland if they let him.
Bears hired Eric Bieniemy to be their running back coach.
Yeah,
so we've former got Kansas City offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy.
Todd Monken goes to the Ravens as the OC. Seahawks are hiring Clint Kubiak. Texans are hiring Rams assistant Nick Caley as offensive coordinator. There's lots going on in the league. I think this is going to continue to go on, especially after the big game.
The Raiders are still the only team without a head coach.
Yeah.
No. Not the Raiders. The Saints.
Yeah, the Saints. The Saints haven't done anything yet. I don't know what's going to go on in New Orleans, but they need to fix that shit.
It's got to be somebody who's coaching this week.
I'm still like, I still got egg on my face from going in week 3. I'm really watching the Saints this year if they're putting up 45, 50 points a week, and then they just went flat as soon as I said that.
Yeah, you put a curse on them, man. You did.
I manifested that shit. I don't know how, but it's just.
Well, I have a couple of Saints friends on Facebook, and if I'm gonna when I put the link up later, I'm gonna block them because I don't want them driving to Canada with their little fleur de lis guns and knives and stuff. So
I don't know if they'll be able to make it across the border. There's a huge fentanyl problem right now, apparently.
Well, it's not just the Canadian border. Let me tell you, man. It's the Mexican border. It's It's all over the place.
It's the big ocean in between the countries. I get it.
It is just it's rampant right here in America right now. Fentanyl is
That Atlantic border.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Well, for my broadcast partner, Adam, where can the boys and girls, if they wanted to, I'm not telling, if they said, hey, I'm going to look up Adam on social media, where would they find you at?
Oh, they could find me at Adam Off the Couch on the X and on the Gram. You can also find us both on Straight Off the Couch on Facebook and on Linktree if you want to check out all the different platforms that we are on for this podcast. You should follow us, though. I think it's a good thing. Terry, what about you, buddy?
I don't think anybody's looking for me. I mean, even my kids don't look for me. But if you do, if you're bored really one night, sitting around... It's either look for me or do cool things to your dog with a fork. You just go to at TREMUP on X. That's at TREMUP. Instagram at TearEmUpTerry. For my broadcast partner, the ever affable and effervescent Adam Weidel, I am Terry. This is Straight Off the Couch. Enjoy the game this week. We look forward to talking to you next week. Until then, be safe.
Yep, join us for our season finale next week.
And pace yourself, kids. Pace yourselves. It's a long afternoon, and you don't want to show up to work Monday and not be able to perform anything. So, be safe. God bless. Bye-bye, everybody.